Tucker Moore-Reed told detectives,
But I don't think I didn't mean to shoot them. I didn't mean to shoot the gun.
simple, careful, protective. The detective didn't challenge her fear. He challenged reality. Calmly, he said,
You had to have had your finger on the trigger for it to fire. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Then came a follow-up, the one she didn't expect.
Do you remember having your finger on the trigger?
That single question collapses the story. Not by accusation, but by physics. This taps directly into cognitive load theory, where a narrative built to reduce blame begins to fracture when it must explain involuntary action. Tucker believed panic would explain everything. She didn't expect the mechanics of a gun, in her own words, to do the opposite. But the pertinent questions are who this demonic woman is, what happened on July the 26th, 2016, and how detectives psychologically trap her with a perfect bait. Welcome back to my channel. I don't have many followers, but your single comment is a ray of hope for me. On July 26, 2016, just after 1:40 p.m., in a rural area outside Jacksonville, Oregon, a quiet summer afternoon turned fatal. The weather was warm and clear, with daylight still high, when Kelly Moore dialed 911, reporting that her brother, Shane Moore, had been shot outside her mother's home. Deputies arrived to find Shane lying on the ground near the front door, suffering from a single gunshot wound to the chest. Despite emergency efforts, he was pronounced dead at the scene. Inside the house were Kelly, her daughter Tucker Moore-Reed, a notary public, and another witness. Both Kelly and Tucker refused to identify who fired the weapon, insisting only that the shooting occurred in self-defense during confrontation. Investigators noted prior family disputes, earlier threats, and evidence that a firearm had been discharged earlier that day. So, the cops brought both mother and daughter in for the interrogation, but we will mainly focus on Tucker's interrogation before briefly looking into Kelly's statements to cops.
And my daughter came to my rescue and said to him to get off the porch, go away, you stupid drug addict, because she was afraid for me.
Mm-hmm.
He picked up one of those, what is that? 2 quarts or half-gallon thing of motor oil, plastic container, mostly full, leaned back and overhanded it through my ancient screen into Tucker's face, knocked her down to the floor. It hit her so hard. Could have taken out her eye, but it hit her on the cheekbone, split open her skin. She's permanently scarred from it.
Before detectives ever speak to Tucker, they start with her mother. Kelly describes a moment that changes everything. Shane throwing a container of motor oil into Tucker's face, splitting her skin, nearly taking her eye. This isn't background noise. It's the first brick in a long wall of fear, and it explains why this family stopped seeing Shane as a relative and started seeing him as a threat.
And she called the police. And he has, for the last 9 months, been threatening us directly on the phone, through my other daughter, endlessly, that he was going to kill us if Tucker didn't drop the charges. Tucker didn't drop the charges. He's going to kill us.
Kelly's story isn't about one bad day. It's about 9 months of threats, phone calls, and warnings. Drop the charges or we'll kill you. When her elderly mother comes home from the hospital barely alive, Kelly says they stay. Not because they want to, but because they're begged to. This is how pressure builds quietly until every decision feels like the wrong one.
Walk us through what happens with the notary once the notary arrives, and kind of give us time frames, if you could.
And I was standing there and I said, oh my God, you're probably going to need ID from my mother to notarize her signature. It just occurred to me. And my mother doesn't have any ID. She has an old state identification card that is at least 5 years 5 years expired.
Okay.
And so we were looking for ID, found the expired ID. My daughter, that's it. That's when my daughter got involved. She found the ID in my mother's room. My mother kept insisting it was there in a box on the table, but Tucker found the ID in my mother's room, and I was trying to find other forms of ID, Medicaid card or whatever the hell these things are. Mm-hmm. So I took that opportunity to look at the document. I was going to annotated with the paragraphs that would make it so that if Shane hurt anybody, he would be instantly disinherited, because I felt like that would be our insurance. We would be safe. I wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. And I looked at it, and it's a grant deed. Shane has tricked my mother into signing a grant deed, giving away the property to him and me. And I said, oh no, my mother is not signing this. This is her property. She's not signing this. And I ripped it into 4 pieces. And Shane was outside the sliding glass doors looking in. And he started to come around to the front door. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I didn't lock the front door. And I started for the front door. And I was trying to lock the door when he opened the door. He's telling me, what are you doing? That property gives that. I said, Mother's not signing a grant deed.
Kelly believes the paperwork will end the danger until she reads it. Not a will, a grant deed, the house, gone. She rips it apart. Shane is watching through the glass. He moves for the front door. Kelly realizes it's unlocked. This is the point of no return. The moment the situation shifts from legal manipulation to physical confrontation.
This was supposed to be a will. It's good. Half of it's going to you. Half of it's going to you, he said to me. And I'm trying to shut the door, and he's shoving it into me. And I'm leaning forward, trying to shut the door.
Take your time. It's okay.
He was trying to come in, and he was trying to hurt me. And God only knows what else he was going to do.
And the notary would have heard and saw all this.
I don't know. That's in the front hall, and she was in the dining area.
Okay. She would have heard it, though, probably, huh?
I don't know. I don't know what she heard. I can't tell you what she heard.
Okay. And what happened next, then, Kelly?
That's the end of my statement.
Then Kelly stops. That's the end of my statement. She refuses to say what happens next. And moments later, she says something else. I'm glad he's dead. Detectives don't argue. They don't push. They move on to Tucker. Because when one person talks too much and another stops at the most critical moment, the truth usually isn't missing. It's waiting in the next room.
I'm Bill Ford. I'm a detective with Medford.
My name is Tony Young. I'm a detective with Medford Police also. We take a case like this and try to learn as much as we can about what was going on. We don't know you. We don't know the circumstances. We're kind of behind the 8 ball, and we would like to talk to you about that. Some of what we've done on the front end, Bill and I talked to your mom, and then the other detectives were out at the scene talking to various people that were present, and that we know some family dynamics are involved here. We know that there's some history going on here.
I'm just going to be right back. I'll make sure.
Okay. We understand a lot about what kind of led us here today, but not from you. Okay. And it's vital that we get it in your words and what you saw, what you were thinking, and things like that. That's what we offer to you at this point to do. Okay? Because I can tell by talking to you in just a brief amount of time, this is not a normal day for you to end up here doing this.
No.
Okay. All right. We can learn a little about a person, especially more so nowadays with what's online and what's out there. And I only believe about that much of what's online because people can, it's not everything. I think this is the way you learn about somebody and talk to them. And again, we talked to your mom to kind of get some background, but I'd like to kind of hear in your words what led us here today, what made this happen.
The detectives open with a non-accusatory posture. We don't know you. We're behind the 8 ball. We want in your words. Psychologically, this lowers threat perception and invites cooperation by making Tucker feel like the author of the narrative instead of the target. It also quietly positions the detectives as neutral fact finders, which makes later confrontations feel less like an attack and more like a logical correction of her story. People are more likely to comply when they believe the process is fair, respectful, and unbiased.
I first want to say that I do have PTSD, and I have pretty much daily panic attacks. And prior to coming here, I took 2 Klonopin.
Okay.
They are prescribed to me.
Okay.
So, aside from the headache that I mentioned to the sheriff, I'm feeling a little not well spoken.
Okay. All right.
So, I will try to provide you with information, but I just want to bear that in mind. For, I guess it's been 10 months.
And Tucker, you might have to speak up a little bit in this room.
Okay. My maternal uncle, Shane, has been pretty much weekly, I would say, threatening my life, my mother's life. I don't think ever my sister's life.
And she called the police. And he has, for the last 9 months, been threatening us directly on the phone, through my other daughter, endlessly, that he was going to kill us if Tucker didn't drop the charges. Tucker didn't drop the charges. He's going to kill us.
My uncle, who has a history of violence, I mean, not just against me and against my family, but he has claimed that he killed a woman and buried her in the BLM. He has abused women on the property. We've heard them screaming. He harassed she might have been in her 20s. It seemed like she was a young girl. I looked this up when I was working as a crime journalist. Harassed a girl he had propositioned for prostitution until she just didn't show up at the trial. So he is he's very threatening. And when he was there, he had this document, he thrust it at my grandmother. He said that if she didn't sign it, he'd kill my mother. And about
now,
that
is this stuff that you heard him say, or is it stuff that your grandmother told?
This is something nobody knew. My mother asked her, why would you sign a thing without anyone present? You know, right after you've been in the hospital, you already have a will. And that's when my grandmother kind of huddled into herself and said, he said he would kill you, Kelly, if I didn't sign this. And he had done that.
When Tucker describes threats, the detective keeps separating what she personally perceived versus what she heard from others. Stuff you heard him say, or stuff your grandmother told. This corners her into admitting which parts are secondhand. That matters because secondhand fear can still be real, but it's easier to challenge as unreliable. It also forces her story to become testable. If she didn't witness it, it can't be used as direct justification for what happened. Truthful memories typically contain sensory detail and contextual markers that hearsay narratives often lack.
So that is kind of background information I can provide you. And I just don't feel like I'm in a good position to speak about the incident today at all without a clear head and without a lawyer present. I'm sorry about that if that causes you any more trouble.
Well, that's your right. And we want to, obviously we have questions, and that's entirely your right to do. Here's kind of the way that works with us. We can come in here and talk to you, and we can keep talking to you until that point. You probably know that if you've been around, crime writing or anything like that.
I was pre-law before this.
Okay, you know probably better than I do.
In my life now.
I know. But that kind of ends our interview at this point.
Right.
We don't I think we've both been doing this long enough. We don't get grumpy with you or anything, you know.
Appreciate it.
You know.
I do want to mention that he had a friend there who was trying to do chest compressions because the EMTs weren't coming because there was a report of someone with a gun, and we kept saying that the gun had been put away, and he wasn't doing it right, and I helped do chest compressions on my uncle, and I could feel that the man had been doing it wrong. I was certified to do it before, and every bone was broken, and it just felt like jelly.
Well, let us go talk to the detective that's handling the case. We'll come back and let you know what's going on.
We want to tell you, we're done. You're probably not going to have contact with us, but if you change your mind and you want to talk to us, you can knock on the door or whatever, and we'll need to revisit whether you want an attorney at that point, if that's something you want at a later time.
Okay.
But right now we're done.
All right.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, Detective.
When Tucker invokes counsel, they don't argue. They calmly end it. That move often creates psychological discomfort, silence plus uncertainty, because the suspect loses control over the conversation they were steering. Tucker then reopens contact herself, trying to add one more thing, which restores the detective's leverage. When people feel a freedom to explain themselves is restricted, they often push to reclaim it, sometimes by volunteering more information.
I have one more thing I want to add to the detective's record. If they're still available. If anyone can hear me. I'm assuming this is the camera. Can you see me?
Sorry.
Hi. No worries. I just wanted to add one more thing.
Okay. There's kind of something we got to do before. If you want to talk to us right now, we kind of have to go through your right. Again? Oh yeah.
I know them.
Okay, I know.
You have to advise them.
Listen,
okay.
We got to go through, and I'll advise you of your Miranda warnings, and I want to ask if you want to waive those rights to speak to us. So you understand you have the right to remain silent.
Yes.
Okay. You have the right to an attorney and to have him present with you while you're being questioned.
Yes.
Okay. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning.
Yes.
Okay.
And anything that you say can be used against you in court of law. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. With those rights in mind, do you wish to talk to us now without an attorney present?
I wish to clarify one thing.
Sure.
For the period of time that we were there with the doors barricaded.
After she asks to add something, they deliver Miranda and ask if she wants to waive rights, then proceed straight into specifics. This creates a clean line in the sand. Once she agrees to talk, backing out later feels like changing her stance. It also gives the conversation legal gravity, increasing her motivation to sound consistent and reasonable. Once someone makes an explicit choice publicly, they feel pressure to behave in ways that align with it.
I mentioned that to you, that basically it was switched off. My family members stayed in the house continually after he had come in and extorted a new document, a new will or whatever of my grandmother. I kept insisting that we call the police because that's elder abuse.
Right.
And my mother said if we called the police, he would just go berserk. She was afraid that he would set fire to the house, that he would cause damage, anything and everything. And what she wanted instead, her plan for today was to add clarifying language, and if the house is searched, it will be there on the kitchen or the dining room table.
Mm-hmm.
Clarifying language that said that if any harm came to it, my family or my sister's boyfriend or my dog or any of the property belonging to anybody, that he would get nothing.
Right, she explained that to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just, why did I feel that's why nobody called in. That's why my grandmother didn't report anything. That's why my mother didn't report anything. She thought that this was the best way to protect everybody because we hadn't been getting protection.
So nobody from there called the police
for the elder abuse. No, even though we did record my grandmother talking about how it had happened on the day of.
We did have a 911 call from there, from that house. We had a call to our dispatch. This is a computer-aided dispatch sheet.
On which day?
Today. That's today's date. And the time that call was initiated was 1:44. Okay. Can you see what that covers? Your uncle called reporting that you fired a gun on the property today.
Well.
Prior to that time.
Well, that's bizarre.
The CAD/dispatch sheet is introduced like an immovable object, a timestamp and a reported event. When Tucker reacts, that's bizarre. She's now responding to an external fact rather than controlling the story. This corners her because she must either reconcile with the record or look evasive. Initial concrete information, like time logs, becomes the reference point against which later explanations are judged.
Being a critical thinker, and I know you are, with where we're at right now, that's pretty ominous, right? I mean, that's the problem we're getting at with, and if you want to stop right there, well, that's one thing, but you got to understand there's more to this story, and that's pretty telling. There's a lot of questions with this.
Tucker, one of the things I want you to understand is we spent about an hour and a half talking to your mom.
Okay. I could hear her screaming or whatever.
Yeah. And she explained to us all the past history with Shane, Grandma, you, and her. Mm-hmm. The threats, the things that he was trying to do with Grandma about the property and, the deed and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. She explained to us when the oil got thrown at you and the case, things like him trying to get you to drop the case through either you or other people and all that other kind of stuff. And the hindering, the tampering and that kind of stuff.
He doesn't sound like a nice guy.
We asked her about you firing the gun off. She said yes. There was a gun there at the house, and you asked your grandma if you could shoot the gun in the field, and you went out and you shot the gun once. So your mom has told us that you fired the gun earlier today. But what I want to explain to you is that our job is to figure out why this happened and make sure that this wasn't a cold, calculated, premeditated thing, or if this was a spur-of-the-moment thing, or if this was an accidental shooting, or if this was a self-defense shooting. I'm just being straight with you. We're not here to try to get people in trouble. We're here to seek the truth.
Right.
The detective lists categories: premeditated versus spur of the moment versus accident versus self-defense. Then frames his job as figuring out which one fits. This invites Tucker to pick a narrative lane that is psychologically safer than outright denial, because the options include less blame-heavy explanations. How choices are presented influences which explanation feels most reasonable and defensible.
Because me and Tony have been doing this job a long time, 25 years each. And we've been in law enforcement for 30. So we've seen the gamut of things when it comes to shootings that result in death. I think a lot of lay people that aren't in the system all the time automatically think that we're out to get people in trouble. That's not our job. Our job is to figure out what was going through your mind when this happened. Because we have the notary public there. She's a witness in this case. She's present at the table when she sees you pick up the gun from underneath the towel on the counter and move towards the front. And she's telling us that your mom was in the kitchen at that time as well. So we're trying to figure out why the gun got discharged. What was going through your mind? And really, and that's why when Tony tells you that you have a right to tell us that part of it, we could spend hours and hours and hours sitting here talking about the dynamics of the past. And we understand that. We understand that's an important piece of this. Don't get us wrong. And we spent a lot of time with your mom talking about that. I understand.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
The next step is that we need to make sure that your mom didn't shoot Shane, that the notary didn't shoot Shane, that Carlton, the black guy that was there, didn't shoot Shane, that there wasn't something else going on. And we need to figure out if you shot Shane, why that happened. And really, that's what it boils down to here, girl. I'm just being straight with, how old are you?
26.
Yeah, you're 26 years old. You still got the rest of your life in front of you. But this is our one opportunity to talk to you about that now.
The detective highlights her age and future. You've got the rest of your whole life in front of you. This is one opportunity. This is psychological pressure without yelling. It attaches immediate cooperation to long-term self-preservation, nudging her toward a story that reduces culpability. People are often more motivated to avoid losses, ruin future, than to pursue gains, especially under stress.
And then the next thing would be how it all happened, and that's part of the why. What happens and transpires, how does that happen to lead up to the point where the trigger got pulled on the gun? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a decision you got to make, and you got to decide whether or not you want to talk to us today about that. Because I don't think, looking at this thing, and I don't know if Tony would agree or disagree with me, I have a hard time possibly believing that this was something that was planned out weeks in advance. I don't think that's the case. But there is obviously a lot of disruptiveness going on between Shane, your grandma, and your mom, and you ultimately with Shane. And there's a lot of dynamics going on with kind of people Shane has running around there and taking over the property. We always try to figure out motive. What was the motive of somebody pulling a trigger on a gun and the gun going off? Was the person trying to shoot at the person and scare the person and accidentally hit them? There's a lot of stuff that can go into this.
Tucker, you got to understand the reason to me, that's a burning question. That CAD, that printout I showed you with you shooting a gun there earlier in the day. And I did that. And you know why I did that? I want you to understand what somebody,
other people
watching this, okay, could be thinking, oh my God, there's a lot more to what went on today. We know there's a past, established it, and he's not a nice guy, and I believe it wholeheartedly.
The detectives repeatedly acknowledge the threatening uncle narrative. He doesn't sound like a nice guy, I believe it, but they use that validation as a bridge to the real target. How and why the gun discharged. This corners Tucker because the empathy makes resistance seem unreasonable. They understand me, so I should explain. Validation reduces defensiveness and increases disclosure, even when the interviewer's goals are investigative.
I have to say that I'm incensed that he would call 911 and think that that was anything. That man is firing off guns all the time.
Okay.
I found a gun that I believed belonged to my grandfather. I wanted to know if it was loaded. I took it outside onto the porch and I fired it. That was this morning.
Okay. Was that the gun that was used?
Yes.
Okay.
I gave it to my mother afterwards saying, I think that this gun, I didn't even know how to use it. It doesn't need to be cocked to shoot, but I thought it did earlier this morning.
So,
we were just kind of curious about your
you'll
grandma's
be able
gun.
to see the gun.
Yeah. That wasn't meant to scare him or anything like that.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
People are always shooting.
Okay,
You
that-
can see my grandmother's.
See, that's important.
That helps right there. That
Okay.
puts your voice on it. But let me ask you about, are you a gun person?
No,
All right.
no.
Have
no,
you
no.
ever shot a gun before this morning in your life?
My friend from Arkansas, when I went to USC, took me to a gun range, and he laughed at me the whole time.
Okay.
So,
All right.
You don't own any guns.
I don't own guns. I'm not licensed to carry. No.
Okay. So that kind of raises another question. What made you go out today? What was going on in your mind to make you want to test fire that gun today, to make sure it worked?
I don't know. I've been scared out of my mind for so long. I just saw this thing.
Were you thinking, let me ask you this, Tucker, were you thinking
You're
that
doing good.
because obviously what's kind of in the forefront of your mom and you's mind is the potential for threats and the potential for violence. Were you thinking that I ought to shoot this you've already talked about barricading the doors.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of why to shoot this gun just in case something happens?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you're thinking of the gun as a protection.
It's just the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Was there any thoughts in your mind about causing any harm to Shane at all before
No.
this happened?
Absolutely not. No.
Once Tucker admits she fired the gun earlier, the detective presses into micro details. Gun familiarity, why test fire, what she believed about cocking, whether it was loaded where Mom stood, where Shane stood, how the door opened. The more moving parts she must track, the harder it is to keep contradictions out if the account is constructed or shifting. As mental load increases, deceptive or unstable narratives are more likely to fragment or conflict.
Did you see your mom tear up the document?
What happened was I saw Shane come around.
Where
and
was
he
Shane
was
at?
on the porch, literally 5 feet from the glass windows.
No, we haven't been to the house. Are we
Okay.
talking the front door?
So if this is to scale, it's pretty
Could I
large
give
table.
you a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. And if you could draw like what the inside of the house looks like and the porches, because we're understanding there's a sliding door, there's a front door, there's stuff going on. Here's a pen for you.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. Oh, this is a very nice pen. So, there's a center chimney type thing. This is the living room over here. And then this is, it's probably a little too long. So, chimney, and then there was a chair here with notary, chair here with my mother, bench seat here with Carlton, chair here with my grandmother, and then there's like a wall here, and then it's open here, and then it goes around. It's not a very big hall at all, and it goes the same length or maybe even slightly shorter. I think there's a heater here.
Where's the front door at?
And it is right here, and it swings out this way.
Swings in.
Yeah, it swings into the house. And so, and here was the kitchen counter with a drawer sink, and I was right here.
So you're behind the counter.
Yes,
There's
I was behind
actually
the counter.
room for you to go by.
And there's wall here, and there's wall
And
here.
where's the slider at?
This is the sliding.
Kind of at the
Doors.
opposite end of the notary.
Yeah, exactly at the opposite. And I
is there
was
a porch outside the
Yes. Okay, and that's
Okay.
where I didn't.
All right, that's
It's-
fine.
But it's only a few inches more
Okay.
at this scale.
Okay.
And he wandered up the steps onto the porch and was watching.
The drawing and physical demonstration of a door transforms a chaotic event into a structured model. Angles, distances, sightlines. It corners the suspect because a diagram becomes a frozen version of her story that can later be compared against witnesses, ballistics, and scene evidence. Reinstating context, layout, positions, can increase recall, but it also exposes gaps when the account can't stay coherent under reconstruction.
And
Where was he watching from?
literally like right outside
And
the
could you see
door.
him watching out? Could you see him there?
Yes, and I verbally like warned everybody. I was like, Shane's right there.
Okay.
And
Was
he's
the slide,
watching.
is there any of the slider have any drapes on or anything like that?
No, there's nothing.
And from where you were at, you could see him.
Yeah,
Could
and
your
he's
grandma-
not supposed to be that close to me.
Okay. Could your grandma see him?
I think I announced to everybody, so the notary, my grandmother, my mother, and Carlton would have known that he was there.
Okay. I mean, was he pressed up against the glass?
No, he was standing because this is the important thing. As soon as my mom tore up the document, he ran towards the front door, which was unlocked.
So I took that opportunity to look at the document. I was going to annotate it with the paragraphs that would make it so that if Shane hurt anybody, he would be instantly disinherited, because I felt like that would be our insurance. We would be safe. I wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. And I looked at it, and it's a grant deed. Shane has tricked my mother into signing a grant deed, giving away the property to him and me. And I said, oh no, my mother is not signing this. This is her property. She's not signing this. And I ripped it into 4 pieces. And Shane was outside the sliding glass doors.
The door opens this way.
Yes,
Is it possible that it opens this way?
absolutely not. That was a mistake.
So you open the door this way, and your mom is behind the door.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, your mom's behind the door, and he's trying to make entry, and everybody's screaming.
Yes.
And you feel that he's going to come in and he's going to cause you harm.
Yes.
That's basically what you're telling us.
Or my mother, yes.
Because you had
Or my
ran.
grandmother, because she's
Okay, you
seen it.
had ran there and got the gun and went towards the door. Your mom's already up the door by the time you get there, and you're describing being about 5 feet away, and you've got the gun in your hand.
Yeah, I was like right here.
So are you straight on the door, is what I'm asking, or are you kind of off to the side from where your mom is? And what kind of angle?
That's about, but that's
So is it kind of like this, if that's the door?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was sort of an angle.
How long do you think you're there with the gun?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Do you
I
remember?
was screaming.
If I had to ask you, in your best explanation, you believe, even knowing yourself and everything else, what do you think caused the trigger the gun to get fired?
Probably squeezing on it. Just
No, I'm saying,
like,
what was going through your mind? Why do you think this happened?
because I don't understand how guns work.
What could be some other reasons that this might have happened?
The detective repeatedly moves from what happened to what was going through your mind, and subtly treats the critical question as motive and decision-making. That shift pressures Tucker to provide an internal explanation, not just an external sequence. If she can't supply believable mental steps, her story feels incomplete. People judge events by inferred intent. Pushing someone to explain motives invites self-incriminating or inconsistent attributions.
What's going on with the case, the oil case, when he threw the oil at you?
It has been such a mess.
Is
I was
it
initially in the
done?
system as a
Okay.
15-year-old. No, it's still open.
Was there a trial date set for it?
There was a trial date set for it, and then he pled guilty. And then when he got there to plead, he said, no, I take it back. I would like to go to trial. And so they reset the trial.
So it's an open case.
Yeah.
Okay.
He picked up one of those, what is that? 2 quarts or half-gallon thing of motor oil, plastic container, mostly full. Leaned back and overhanded it through my ancient screen into Tucker's face. Knocked her down to the floor. It hit her so hard. Could have taken out her eye, but it hit her on the cheekbone, split open her skin. She's permanently scarred from it.
I gotta ask something here. Going back to, and I think it's the hard question.
Yeah.
Look at me. Did you want to kill your uncle?
No. I wish my uncle wasn't around. I wish that my uncle had left and gone to live with my uncles down in Mariposa. He was dangerous and I hated him. But no, I did not want to kill my uncle. I did not want to ruin my life. I did not want to ruin my family's life, and I didn't want to put my grandmother in that kind of position because she could stroke out or have a heart attack.
You doing okay? You use the bathroom at all, or you alright?
I'm barefoot and I have a thing with bathrooms.
Okay. So does Tony.
I do. I don't understand. Is there a phobia for that?
Yeah, probably. It's probably OCD.
Do you understand why we're asking these questions? Because we need to know what's going through your mind.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what this boils down to. And we need to know what actions he was taking and what your mom was doing to prevent him from coming into the house.
Did you want to kill your uncle? Is a cornering move because it compels Tucker to confront the most damning interpretation directly. A strong denial can be informative, but hedging, qualifying, or emotional leakage can be even more informative to investigators. It also narrows her future options. If she later admits intent, it contradicts this moment. Being confronted with a stark moral claim creates pressure to resolve discomfort by aligning statements and identity. I'm not that kind of person, which can prompt over-explaining.
Any other days besides that day, that Monday of last Monday, would you have, last time he was in the house where you guys were together around each other? Before?
Anything, like,
how many times have you been?
Anything. You know, this man has come up to our front porch to scream and steal things, and I've picked up shovels. I've said, get away. You know, he's anything to put distance between a messed out
That's Tucker, though.
man.
That's what I want to ask you. How many times have you been around your uncle since he threw the oil at you? How many times have you been around him?
Probably. See, I get it confused with how many times he's called the house just to threaten.
Not just
we
called.
keep it like a diary,
right.
But I think it's 3 times.
3 times.
Yes,
So there
including
was
that Monday incident.
prior to that Monday incident,
Maybe 2 times. He was on our property once.
at your mom's house on 8th or on
8th.
How'd that go?
I told him to get the hell out of there.
Why did he come over? Do you know?
He stole tools from my mother's garage.
And you saw him there?
Yes.
And you told him to leave?
Yes.
And did he leave?
Yes.
Okay.
After he took the tools and told me to go fuck myself.
Okay. Has he ever threatened you directly?
Yes, on the phone.
When?
Multiple times, actually.
Let's talk about the last time you had a conversation with him where he made threats.
He called and he said that he's actually basically like repeated the same things over and over. But it's, I need to drop the charges. I need to make this go away. I don't have any idea of what he's capable of. And I'm a dumb cunt if I think that he can't reach me through somebody else if he's put behind bars.
What are some of the big threats that you remember him saying? The gist of it. If it doesn't have to be exact words, but just the big.
You know. I'll destroy your life.
Okay.
That was a big one. He liked to say he would destroy things.
Okay. What else? What other kind of themes, I guess, is what I would call it.
Yeah.
Him telling you to try to get you to drop the charges.
The detective doesn't let "he threatened me" remain a blanket claim. He pulls out themes: drop the charges, destroy your life, make you disappear, and pushes for the last time and the most memorable threats. This corners Tucker by converting fear into a structured timeline that can be checked against call logs, witness statements, and later testimony. People store repeated experiences as patterns. Investigators exploit that by asking for themes to expose consistency or gaps.
That he had a lot of friends.
Okay.
And then sometimes he would be nice. And he would say, I won't hurt you, and everyone will be safe if you just drop the charges.
Okay. Did he ever threaten to injure you? Directly, a threat to you?
Not like anything specific. No.
Okay. Did he ever threaten to kill you?
Yes.
How?
Like make me disappear.
Okay. So, when he's coming around the corner, coming through the door, and your mom's trying to shut the door, do you think that you could have done, I mean, you've got the notary, you got your grandma, could you have had the opportunity, my understanding is there's a house phone there.
Yeah.
Could you have, instead of running to get the gun, could you have ran to the phone and called 911?
Not before he hurt somebody. Not in my mind.
Okay, but you've been around him a couple times since this court case, and he hasn't hurt you. That's why I'm asking you.
He's hurt my mother in the past. He's threatened her with knives. He's shoved her repeatedly. He has thrown things at her. He threw things at me. I think I mentioned I've had to pick up shovels and things to keep him back.
Have you ever witnessed any of these things, or is it stuff your mom's told you?
Oh no, I was there. We've had large groups of people in which he has demonstrated his violence toward my mother.
When he asks whether she could have called 911 instead of grabbing the gun, he's not just brainstorming options. He's measuring how quickly she justifies force and whether her no other choice belief stands up. Even if Tucker insists she couldn't, the question plants a comparison standard. Alternative, less lethal paths. Forcing, what else could you have done? Can induce self-blame, admissions, or revisions that reveal real priorities in the moment.
On Thanksgiving and 4th of July.
What's the worst thing he's ever done to your mom?
Probably toss some kind of metal instrument at her.
Okay. What's the worst thing he's ever done to you?
Thrown the oil at my eyeball.
Okay.
Is that what I see right here on the bridge of your nose? Is that from that?
No,
okay.
That's from a different accident.
Okay.
I have a scar here, and we got a plastic surgeon to do the stitches, but so it healed really well actually.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys report that right away?
Immediately.
What officer handled that?
He hit me with his car. He tried to run me over with his car, and I was screaming, "This man is trying to kill me." And the officer didn't really take that seriously. He said, this again was Officer McCulley. I don't think I ever finished the thing. Officer McCulley, when we were there and I got it recorded, he was like, he didn't care about tampering with a witness. He didn't care about the fact that my uncle was violating bail or whatever it is, bond, whatever made him be recognizant. I don't know what the term is exactly. He just said, maybe you should consider moving.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see an officer saying that.
Well,
it's not the right thing to say.
No, it was really triggering for me as a person with PTSD. Who
Let's
has
talk
been
about that for a second.
treated terribly by police.
Can we talk about that for a second? I know you might have a hard time getting through that, but the best you can. Do you feel that you went through some kind of PTSD today?
Oh yeah.
What went through your mind as you were going through that?
I mean, I have been with my grandmother now for days, and it's the paranoia. It's just been mounting so much, and
he leans into PTSD and panic. Did you go through some kind of PTSD today? Which sounds supportive, but it steers her toward a psychological explanation that can justify disorganized behavior while still holding her responsible for outcomes. It also invites disclosure about trauma and perception, which can later explain why she interpreted danger as immediate. Behavior is driven by how a person interprets a threat, not only the objective threat. An interrogator's probe that appraisal to explain actions.
I do. I mean, something, you mentioned this when we first started talking to you about, tell me what you took today. Klonopin. 2 of them?
2.
Okay. Again, just to kind of paint the whole picture, you're sitting here talking to me and you're alert and responding just fine. And I kind of want to roll back to the time this happened. Any alcohol? Did you have any alcohol? Had you taken any medication prior to that today?
Yes.
Okay, what'd you take?
I took half a Xanax.
Half a Xanax. Okay. And what time was that?
That was about the time, that was before they were even, because we'd been watching that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's disgusting.
Sure.
That was before the delegates even started voting on the TV. What time that was?
All right. Okay. So you have half a Xanax. Anything else all day?
Not even food.
Not even food? Oh, jeez. Okay. And then when did you take the Klonopin, the 2 Klonopin?
After, well, Shane was getting chest compressions.
Okay. So immediately after this happened. Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about the Xanax. Does that kind of mellow you out, take you to...
It's for immediate panic attacks.
Okay.
And it wears off, and especially if you take half, because they're coded. But I have an old prescription. I'm not even really supposed to be taking them anymore, but I have them for really bad panic attacks. The Klonopin is more of a, it takes a while to hit kind of a thing.
A longer lasting thing.
Uh-huh.
And the
but
Xanax,
the same drug.
When you take half a Xanax, is it something you noticeably feel? Does it impair you at all? Like, I guess, cops, everything is according to driving. How would...
He meticulously documents Xanax, Klonopin, timing, food intake, and how each drug feels. That narrows Tucker's escape routes. If she claims perfect clarity, the pharmacology undercuts it. If she claims confusion, it can support recklessness or impaired judgment. Either way, she's boxed into a defined mental state narrative. Memory retrieval and confidence can shift based on physiological state. Detectives pin down state to interpret inconsistencies.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Tucker.
Yes, sir.
If the notary public, which we somebody else interviewed her, me and Tony did, another detective. She was pretty freaked out.
Yeah,
Can you imagine just
that would make me quit the job.
Yeah, being a mobile notary and you come to somebody's house and then you see something like this happen.
I don't even know how she got out of the house. She was just
the notary public. It's my understanding from the brief contact the detective had with the notary public, because obviously she's upset. She needs to be interviewed again. She's saying that your mom was around the table or in the kitchen when you went to the front door, and the notary is saying that Shane said something like, "Is everything okay in there?"
No, that's mixed up. I was the one in the kitchen, and my mother was the one sitting right next to the notary because she was going to explain the addendums that had been written up.
But when Shane takes off to go around the corner, your mom moved to the door.
I yelled.
Okay. That Shane's coming, that Shane's running.
Yeah.
What do you remember yelling?
Shane's right there. First, I was like, Shane's right there, and then now he's going towards the front door.
Can you do that for me, just like you did with the gun thing? Can you use the same voice?
First, I was more calm. I was like, Shane's here. He's watching. And then my mom ripped up the document, and that's when Shane, started to go towards I was like, he's going towards the front door.
About that?
Yeah.
That loud?
Yes.
Did you think Shane was going to cause you harm coming through the door?
Yes.
Cause who harm?
Actually, to be honest, the more I think, I didn't know.
The detective repeatedly introduces what others say. Carlton's recollection, the notary's version, and people watching have questions. That strategy corners Tucker because she must either align with outsiders or explain why they're wrong. It also pressures her to tighten her narrative to survive competing accounts. People are influenced by perceived consensus. Presenting other witnesses' views increases pressure to conform or convincingly rebut.
I think the notary and Carlton can attest to that. That I was in shock. I didn't. So I wandered away. And
Where did you wander away to?
just, he was making the worst noises ever.
Okay. But you ended up helping with CPR?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody was screaming that the EMTs couldn't come, and Shane had stopped making noises, and I went out there, and they had moved him. He wasn't where he fell. I saw him fall.
Where was he when he fell?
On the mat, basically.
In front of the door?
Yeah. He staggered, and he fell to his knees or something. But he ended up on his back.
One of the things I wanted to ask you was, were you worried that if you pulled the trigger, you could hit your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I didn't think it was cocked. I wouldn't be brandishing this.
Do you remember having your finger on the trigger?
I think I do.
Do you remember?
I told you, I don't remember. Like,
Do you remember
earlier I told you I
squeezing
didn't
the gun?
remember it.
To pull the hammer back?
I didn't pull the hammer back.
No, I mean, when you pull unless it's a different kind of
No,
revolver.
it's a double action. It cycles when you squeeze the trigger and the hammer goes back and then forward.
Automatically?
Yeah.
That's double action. Or you can pull the hammer back and pull the trigger, and that's
what
single
I did
action.
this morning.
Correct, right.
The hammer has to come back and fall forward and hit the pin.
And it doesn't matter how.
You can pull it. You can put your finger on the trigger. You can pull the hammer back, pull the trigger, and it'll go off. Or you can just pull the trigger, which manually brings the hammer back.
What a horrible and stupid design for a gun. That seems so unsafe.
That's the modern design. That's more modern than the other one. That's how modern revolvers operate.
The detective breaks down how a double-action revolver fires and returns to the unavoidable point. If it fired, the trigger was pulled. Tucker can maintain not intentional, but she's pressured to concede the physical mechanism. Finger placement, waving motion, distance, one-hand control. That converts the story from moral intent to actionable conduct. Recreating movements and bodily actions helps reconstruct what likely happened and can expose contradictions between claimed intent and physical behavior.
Do you think he had a right to pull the gun out and shoot the other guy?
I think he should have run away.
Okay. A case where somebody has a knife, somebody pulls a knife on somebody, guy pulls out a gun and shoots the guy with the knife. Think he had a right to do that?
It depends on how close the knife was, in my opinion.
Okay, let's say 5 feet.
No.
2 feet.
If the guy's gonna throw the knife, maybe. No, I don't think that's, unless it's pressed to your throat, I don't think that you should be shooting somebody.
Okay. You don't think, unless he's touching it to the throat,
Or lunging or something.
Okay. What I want to ask you, and what Tony and I have been trying to ask you and get your take on it is, looking back on this thing as it happens now, the stuff that was going through your mind, why do you think you shot him?
I think because I felt like there was a knife to my throat and I didn't have anywhere to run.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
But I don't think I didn't mean to shoot the gun. I didn't mean to shoot the gun.
Okay.
I didn't mean to shoot the gun.
There's been a lot of, it's pretty evident that your mom doesn't like her brother, your uncle.
At this point, yeah, I would bet.
And it sounds to me like you and your mom have had, you're filled with him. But would you agree or disagree with me right now that if you don't like somebody, even if you hated somebody, you don't have a right to shoot them, right?
Right.
Okay.
No, yeah.
In this particular case, what we need to do is clear out all suspicion that this was something that you shot him because you don't like him.
Right.
Okay.
I would never
And
have done that.
to end all the problems with all the threats and everything else.
Yeah. No, I would never have shot him in front of so many witnesses if it was just a case of me not liking him. I would not have done it.
He repeatedly offers softer labels: panic, fear, curiosity, protection, then asks if she was reckless or stupid, prompting agreement. This corners her by steering away from outright innocence and toward an admission that still feels emotionally tolerable. I didn't mean it, but I acted dangerously. Once a person accepts a label, they tend to explain their behavior in ways that match it, creating a coherent narrative that could be used later.
I think somebody listening to this would go, why, if he's so toxic being anywhere near him and you guys are petrified, why stay there? Why not pick grandma up and go to your house?
She won't go anywhere. She won't go anywhere.
Okay. Did you visit that at all? Like,
yes.
We don't want to be here.
Yes, and she actually, she told us yesterday that she was finally ready to move, and she wanted to move away because Shane was out of control.
When my mother came home from the hospital last Monday, on Tuesday, I think it was, I had to go into my house. I was staying with her because she begged us to stay with her. She's afraid. She's afraid of Shane. She's afraid of dying. She begged us to stay with her. So we reluctantly stayed with her. We didn't want to be out there, but she begged us to stay with her.
When my boss showed up at a date I was on, randomly, that he'd heard me schedule on the office phone, it made me really uncomfortable.
Okay.
So looking back on this, do you feel that you might have been reckless with the gun?
Yeah. Obviously.
Anything?
No. Can you think of anything we haven't asked? I know we've fired a million questions at you. Is there anything we should know?
As soon as I came back, I tried to help. Everyone will tell you I tried to help. I got down and I kept saying I know CPR and I can help.
Are you sorry this happened to Shane?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Do you think he deserved it?
I would think he deserved to be in jail.
Because your mom made it pretty.
I remember her screaming, "Die, die," while he was bleeding out, and I was sobbing and sobbing.
He asks, do you think he deserved it? And probes whether hatred could justify shooting. The goal is to eliminate "I hated him" as a legal motive and push Tucker to articulate a defensible internal reason: fear, protection, no escape, while preventing her from sounding vengeful. People justify actions through moral frames: harm, fairness, loyalty. Interrogators test which frame the suspect defaults to and whether it aligns with lawful conduct.
Do you think your mom had any involvement in this?
You mean what?
By getting it all jacked up, by yelling at you, saying to shoot him. Do you hear your mom saying?
I don't think my mom told me to shoot him. I don't recall that, and
Do you think that's something your mom could have done?
I don't think so. I just remember being really afraid for my mom and for me as he pushed the door open more and more.
Yeah, and here's, to be quite frank with you, Tucker, I understand what you're going through, and where you're coming from. But at the same time, he doesn't have any weapons. There's a notary there.
I didn't know if he did or not.
I understand that, but you can't just assume things.
Obviously,
There's a human life that's no longer with us, and there's laws.
Yeah.
And we have to figure out that there's a district attorney here we've been briefing, and that's listened to some of the interview, and it's, she's ultimately the one that has to make the decision.
Yeah.
As to what you're going to be lodged on today. And you are going to be lodged.
Okay.
I'm not going to beat around the bush on that, but we will let you know what the charges are. Our job is to basically figure out if a crime was committed and what level of crime that rises to.
Right.
When he says she will be lodged and the DA decides charges, he introduces controlled fear, but he pairs it with reassurance. Her talking helped tremendously. That combination corners her into continuing to cooperate because silence now feels like it could worsen outcomes, while talking feels like the only controllable variable. Under stress, people seek coping strategies. Detectives position explaining yourself as the primary coping route.
And I can't tell you, I have a lot of concerns about this, just like Tony does, with the gun being fired earlier, with, the whole situation, really.
I think you sitting here and talking to us has helped tremendously to one, put your voice on this, and also to help us understand the fine details.
I don't want you to walk out here thinking today that, oh, God, I shouldn't have to talk to those guys, because I think by you telling us that, what you did was somewhat reckless, that you feel it was reckless, and looking back on it, maybe you would have done things differently, but ultimately we don't make the decision on charges. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let us go out. We'll talk to the DA one more time. We'll figure out where we're going to go from here. Okay. All right.
Can I?
What's that?
Can I see my mom?
Let us see if that's okay with them. Okay.
Okay.
Once panic spikes, the tone shifts. Slow breathing, reassurance, moving to a bigger room. This isn't just kindness. It stabilizes her nervous system, so her statements remain coherent and usable. A dysregulated subject becomes unpredictable, forgetful, and legally risky to question. When the nervous system goes into threat response, cognition narrows. Calming the body restores speech, reasoning, and compliance.
Are you okay? Okay. Take a deep breath. Have you had these before?
Every day.
Okay. What helps you get through those? What do you do?
Medicine.
Okay. Take a deep breath. We don't have your medicine here to give you, unfortunately. Take a deep breath. Need some water?
I tried it. I just started choking on it.
So take a deep breath. Breathe in and out. There you go. You'll be fine. We're here to help you, okay? Want to make sure you get through this. Are you able to sit up?
No, my head hurts really badly and dizzy.
And what's that from?
I haven't had my antidepressants.
Okay. But you can understand me and everything right now?
I can hear you.
Okay. And you're able to think clearly and everything?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. Take a deep breath.
I'm sorry, your name is?
Detective Bowen. We spoke out there at the house. Remember I gave you the Tylenol?
Yeah, yes, thank you for that.
Yeah.
It helps a little bit.
Are you able to sit up?
I want to get back on the floor.
You want to get get out of this room?
Yeah, this room is too small.
Okay,
Is there a bigger room?
let's get out of this room. I'm going to go right outside the door here, okay?
Thank you.
The detective circles back again and again to the same pressure points. Alternatives, 911, panic, why test fire, finger on trigger, what she could have done differently. Repetition isn't filler. It's a method to see whether her story remains stable under fatigue and emotional strain. Revisiting the same event from slightly different angles can reveal new details and expose instability without overt confrontation. In this interrogation, detectives systematically challenged Tucker's self-defense claims by dissecting her timeline, decisions, and perception of threat. They pushed her to explain threats from her uncle, alternatives to using a gun, and her mental state, including PTSD and medication, converting emotional assertions into measurable facts. By contrasting her narrative with witness accounts and known evidence, they highlighted inconsistencies and widened the legal gap between fear and justified self-defense. From a legal standpoint, this helps prosecutors demonstrate recklessness and undermine a clean self-defense claim, strengthening the case that the shooting was not legally justified under Oregon law. Aisling Tucker Moore-Reed ultimately pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter for killing her uncle, Shane Moore, in July 2016 and was sentenced in Jackson County Circuit Court to 6 years and 3 months, 75 months, in prison, followed by post-prison supervision. Prosecutors had initially charged her with more serious offenses after cell phone video contradicted her self-defense story, but the plea deal reduced charges to manslaughter. The sentence reflects a negotiated outcome that balanced the defendant's claim of fear with legal standards on the use of deadly force, and the duration falls within Oregon's sentencing range for second-degree manslaughter.